This welcome back to A Heart for Homeschool. Please click like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to be notified of when I have new videos coming out. And it has been a while since I've had a new video come out, and today I'm going to share with you why. This year, my oldest daughter graduated from our homeschool, and it has been a very eventful, stressful, intense would be a better word, year. And so I want to share with you some of the lessons I've learned, some of the tips I think I've gained, and just share with you a little of my experience, knowing that everyone's journey is different, but this is intended to encourage other homeschool parents of high schoolers. So this year, I had the joy of graduating my oldest from our homeschool. And I was I've shed a lot of tears prior to getting to this place. Um, if I heard anything about graduation, honestly, it would cause me to tear up. So the fact that my daughter has graduated has been kind of bittersweet because we've been homeschooling for 8 years. So I kind of want to share a little bit about the high school journey for my oldest, keeping in mind that the journey for my second oldest and my younger children is probably going to be different, slightly different, and in some cases a lot different, because my children are different people. But I've learned a lot this year. I've learned a lot about what it has taken for us to get my daughter graduated. I want to go kind of back to fresh, like eighth grade, the summer after eighth grade, going into the ninth grade year. One of the things that we really started doing at that point with our oldest is talking to her about researching. Well, number one, we started talking to her about, okay, let me stop all this. So I want to take a step back to when my oldest was in the around the eighth or ninth grade. And we really started to have conversations with her about whether she wanted to go to college or not. So that was a big thing, because if she wanted to go to college, then we had a path or a plan kind of, and not a rigid plan, but a general idea of what it was going to take to get her to college. But if she didn't want to go to college, then she would need to identify what she wanted to do, and that would determine how we proceeded with her high school career. Both my husband and myself went to college, and we wanted her to go to college, but it was up to her. The thing that was important for my husband and I was that we wanted to provide all of our children, and we want to provide all of our children with a college preparatory education, so that if they decide that they want to go to college, they can. And if they don't, they will have had an education that will be a solid foundation for whatever path they choose to go. So that just kind of gives you an idea of what our goals were as parents, is that we wanted our kids to have a college prep education, that they would be prepared to further their education if they chose to go to college. Both of us graduated from HBCUs, or historically Black colleges and universities. So of course we emphasize also if she wanted to go to college, why attending an HBCU is such a wonderful experience, because both of us had excellent opportunities, an affordable education. We talked to her about because, Jackie said that she wanted to go to college. Both of my oldest have been insistent that they want to go to college. Um, and so we talked about the cost of college, and how important it was, or it is, to choose a college that can give them a good education without putting them hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. Because every profession, having six figures in debt for a bachelor's degree, that's just not cost effective. And in this day and age, exorbitant student loans, if we could avoid it, we were trying to avoid it. So the first thing we talked to her about around the eighth and ninth grade is whether she wanted to go to college, and she decided that she wanted to go to college. And we started to talk to her about exploring her strengths. We had, I had, in homeschooling her, already seen that Jackie is strong in math, strong in science. She likes science, very good with writing. And that those were areas that she were interested in. And then she also likes animals. We have two dogs. We called her the animal whisperer, because I've never seen anything like it. But she just has a quiet soul, or a way about her that animals seem to gravitate to. And so those are some of the things that we established early on with her, that became clearer and more set in stone more as the years went by. So having a plan, I think, is really important. Having a discussion with your child about what career path they see themselves on is extremely important, because from there, we kind of developed how we were going to tackle or approach the next few years. So Jacqueline said pretty early on that she was strongly considering wanting to become a veterinarian. And so for me, I was a little concerned about animal science, because I didn't know much about it. And as a former science or STEM major myself, I didn't know how versatile that degree would be, should she not go into veterinary medicine. I've since learned through research and reading that, the classes and the courses that she has to take as an animal science major make her versatile, or her degree versatile. And so I had some peace on that. So once she kind of said that she wanted to strongly consider being a veterinarian, majoring in animal science, and that she definitely wanted to go to college. Then from there, we kind of mapped out, okay, what classes do you need to take to get you there? What kind of extracurricular activities you needed to participate in to make yourself competitive, or to develop a narrative about that coincided with what she wanted to major in. So that is how we got involved in 4-H. 4-H has a veterinary assistant or technician program that we found out about, that essentially they take so many hours, and they can eventually sit to become a certified veterinary assistant or technician by the time they get out of high school. So we were really excited about that. Unfortunately, COVID hit around Jackie's sophomore year, and it was really hard for us where we lived and in the 4-H clubs that we were in to really get connected or plugged into that program. But we did discover 4-H, and that 4-H is so much more than just animals and whatnot. And so all of my kids, including myself, have gotten involved in 4-H, and it has been such a blessing. And I'm a shameless plug. in a few weeks. I'm excited because I did a coffee talk with Black Family Homeschool educators and scholars. They're teaching where I will be sharing about all of the wonderful benefits of 4-H and getting involved with 4-H. So if you have not registered for that, I encourage you to register. It's very affordable. It's virtual. I'll leave the links in the comment section below, but it is awesome. This teaching, I've learned a lot. And I also shared this year about 4-H. But getting back to Jackie, I wanted to, if possible, she was a good student, and I wanted to set the stage for her to be able to not only apply for college, but apply for scholarships when it came time for her to graduate. So around her sophomore year, I knew that I wanted her to take as many math and science classes as she could, since she was going to be a STEM major. So that included algebra, algebra 2, pre-calculus, and geometry, of course. So she took up to pre-calculus. She didn't take calculus, but she did take up to pre-calculus. I also knew that I wanted her to take a lot of sciences. And I say I because we did this together, but also as being a former science major, I kind of had an idea of some science classes that I thought would be helpful for her to take. So she took biology, chemistry, advanced biology or anatomy and physiology, and physics. And especially one of the things when it came to the science and math courses that I found out was beneficial is that I did not teach her all of her math and sciences. Of course, I'm one person, but I just couldn't. But she did take advanced biology through Apologia, and she did well. She took physics, and she took physics and through HSLDA Academy. And the reason why I'm saying that is because when we started to visit universities and the professors began to question what classes, what math and science classes she had taken, a lot of professors who may not be quite as familiar with homeschoolers seem to breathe a sigh of relief when it was noted that she took these courses or these advanced courses with someone other than me, that she was able to take it with an academy where she's having to be accountable, having to take tests, having to be evaluated or assessed apart from mom. Now, I did teach her chemistry. I have a online chemistry course. Again, shameless plug, check out my website. And I have a full complete chemistry course that she took. And then my second oldest is going to take that I'm offering for other homeschoolers to take. So I was aware of the kind of student she was and is, but I did not teach her all of her math and sciences. She also took pre-calculus from HSLDA Academy, and she did well. She earned A's, and she really thrived online with those classes. The other thing that I was very adamant about is her taking an AP English class, really honing and sharpening her writing skills, because if you can, I knew how important from research, like doing research, doing presentations, how important being able to write and communicate in writing is in terms of college applications, college essays, research, just the whole nine. So she agreed to take an AP English class her junior year, and it was tough. It was a tough class, but she grew by leaps and bounds in writing, and she was already a good writer, but she became a really great writer, having taken this class through HSLDA Academy. She opted not to take AP English her senior year, but she did take English 4 through HSLDA Academy as well. And she did do well as well in that class. So that's kind of the academic side of things. She's a hard worker. She was a good student. Jackie is resourceful, and she will just grind it out. So with her classes. And I was really glad for her to take classes online because it freed me up to focus on my younger 3 kids, because she arrived at a place where she could teach herself. But I wanted her to learn how to be accountable to a teacher, how to definitely meet deadlines, and how to interact in an online class at least. So that was really the academics. And I've never really had any issues with her, honestly, with her grades and academics. Extracurricular activities, the majority of her extracurriculars came through 4-H, but she did public speaking. She did food show and food challenge. And the reason why I'm mentioning these extracurriculars is because through 4-H, Jackie, who has a huge fear of public speaking, really grew, and she really rose to the challenge and of speaking publicly. And the reason why this is important is because, again, as a science major, possibly doing research or internships and then having to come back and share what she learned or share research, I knew that the public speaking was something that she definitely would need to become more comfortable with. And she got an opportunity to also just interact. She gave a speech to our local 4-H club. She got to organize a mini food challenge. So 4-H gave her opportunities to grow. But here's the other thing. It gave her opportunities, leadership opportunities, community service opportunities that we could, when it came time to apply for scholarships, there, the minimum is having good grades. But I believe that the scholarship from the schools and different things, they're looking for students who have done community service, who have taken advantage of educational opportunities outside of the classroom, such as summer camps. So for example, Jacqueline applied and did an essay and got accepted into the 4-H veterinary camp at Texas A&M. And that looks good on a college app. She also did community service where she volunteered at Texas Humane Heroes. So she volunteered at an animal shelter or a pet shelter. And so even though she didn't get the opportunity to become a certified veterinary assistant, she did take advantage of opportunities that were available to her that went towards what she says that she wants to do. And that was important when it came to applying for scholarships, being able to detail how have you impacted the community, how have you learned and grown as a leader, and how have you pursued what you claim or say that you're interested in. So it allowed her to really create some good narratives for the scholarship applications or scholarship essays that she did. So another tip I would say is to definitely take advantage, find out what service organizations, what extracurricular activities your child can participate in to take advantage. And so how has that understanding impacted me already? So with my second oldest, she recently just finished her ninth grade year. Well, she did a summer program. And again, a lot of the HBCUs have great summer programs from 4-H to math and science to um, business. Um, Definitely, they have a lot of great summer programs that can expose your child to what they claim or what they say that they want to major in, and show them, it gives them an opportunity to stay on campus and see what on campus living is like, and it gets their appetites whetted for being on a college campus and going to college. So not only did my oldest go to a summer program at the university that she was accepted at, but my second oldest went to a summer program as well. And she will probably do more simply because I've learned more about what looks good, what experiences can enrich her as a student and as a person. Um, Junior and senior year. So one of the things that I definitely feel passionate about is the ACT SAT. One of the things that I feel like I made a mistake with is not taking the ACT and the SAT for granted. Let's just start there. I took it for granted that, if you have solid classes and solid foundation, that you should be able to just take any standardized test that gets thrown at you with a minimal amount of practice. So, or with minimal time spent. And that was a big no-no. So COVID hit, we put Jackie in an online ACT prep program, but then, due to the pandemic, the ACT got canceled. She wasn't able to take the test, I want to say, for a whole year from the time that she took the prep course. And so she was, I think, in the spring of her junior year, starting to take the ACT. She had a prep book, and I had really done, I was trying to find tutoring for her for the ACT. And I just want to say that tutoring for the ACT, SAT is ridiculously expensive. It is ridiculously expensive. I'm not saying that across the board, but most of the mainstream, it's a huge money racket. And the reason why I say huge money racket, in my opinion, adequate ACT tutoring would be, even if you take you can take a class, but each student has areas of strengths, areas of weaknesses, and you want to focus in on those areas of weakness, say. And you want a dedicated teacher so that knows they have to take, let's say with tutoring, they have to take a pre-test to assess where they are. And then they have to focus on areas like, say, math or science where they're not as strong. Well, a number of the programs to get that one-on-one instruction was like $4,000, $3,000, thousands of dollars. It is ridiculous. Now the ACT does, the organization that provides the ACT, for example, because Jackie took the ACT, they do offer a self-paced ACT prep course online. And that is essentially, after she started taking the exam, that is what we paid for. It was $99, and that's how she studied. But some of the tutoring, it's a big money racket. I was not pleased. There were some of the mainstream ones that had local centers that would allow her, like that we tried to get, and we were willing to pay. But there would be, it was loud, it was noisy. They had, it was just ridiculous. It was just was not what was advertised. So if I would, I would warn parents to definitely do your research, find out what your child is actually getting when it comes to ACT prep. Are they going to be in a class with other students and it's just kind of going through the different tests and testing strategies? If they need individualized tutoring, how much is that going to cost? And are they really getting that tutoring with a teacher or an instructor that is dedicated to them, meaning knowing that works with them in their areas of weakness, knows where they scored low, and based on that can address those weaknesses, because that kind of personalized instruction, while it's what every parent hopes for, in my research, it was out of our price range. It was just exorbitant. Now, a lot of schools, a lot of universities have waived the standardized tests, and a lot of parents have been glad about that. I, for one, was, but if your child wants to apply for a scholarship, especially with the universities, then the ACT and the SAT still apply, meaning that they have to take it, because in my mind, essentially, that's the main thing. I just want to clarify here that when I say that the ACT and SAT are required or still used to evaluate students when it comes to scholarships, I'm primarily talking about university merit-based scholarships. Of course, there are tons of other scholarships that look at community service and leadership, and various other aspects that don't involve standardized test scores. And I definitely recommend looking into those and doing your research early, because you want to make sure that you can get your applications for those scholarships in before deadlines. But in terms of university merit-based scholarships, the ACT and SAT scores are still looked at. So Jacqueline took the ACT 3 times. The first time she took it, she did not do well on it, or as well as we would have hoped. And I was rather shocked, because I knew the kind of student that she was. But again, there had been a big gap between the prep course. I figured, or I thought that, since she has taken other classes with, other academies and different things, that ACT would be no big deal. Well, it was. So she had to take it 3 times. But here's the thing, and I've never seen this, but it happened. She didn't score well the first time, which of course limits the pool of universities that she can apply to. And so at that point, we were just hoping that she would get into college or whatever. But every time she took it, she got like substantially better and better, where she was in scholarship range. So that's a testament to her hard work and her focus, because she, even though she didn't do well the first time, she didn't let that discourage her. She didn't give up. She just kept her nose to the grindstone and just kept working at it. And she did progressively substantially better. And so we were all pleased when we got those third set of test scores. The other thing is, it was critical because, a lot of times you have to be really aware of scholarship deadlines and application deadlines, because you can't wait until the last minute. You don't have forever. Typically, the scholarship applications are like a year or 6 months prior to the spring semester of the child's senior year. And so she not only needed to take the ACT, but she needed to take it and score high enough to be able to apply and submit her scholarship applications before those deadlines expired. So she did that. And and we were very pleased with the results, of course. So that was the ACT, the standardized test. So now, knowing what I know now, I'm starting my second oldest with preparing for the ACT early, meaning this year. We're going to start preparing for it, and definitely hoping, with the hope that by the time that she is ready to apply for scholarships or ready to apply to colleges for her senior year, that the ACT or the SAT won't be an issue at all, because she will have taken it and gotten decent scores that she was looking for. In terms of, transcripts and college, like the credits. So I know a lot of people, especially in the homeschooling community, are like huge, like dual credit is huge right now. I will just share my thoughts on dual credit. I was hesitant about dual credit because I was concerned that if my child was not necessarily quite ready for the rigors of a college course, that dual credit could be damaging to her record and just damaging to her confidence, her academic confidence. So I really was shy about dual credit. Plus, we ended up moving, so she could not have done dual credit. My oldest couldn't. The other thing, the other way that I was looking at dual credit was that dual credit, you know, where I live, we have like public school kids they have dual credit programs, and it's free. They, parents pay taxes, they go to public school, access to dual credit courses are free. But from the limited research that I did, dual credit, we would have had to come out of pocket thousands of dollars. And I wasn't a fan of, number one, taking out student loans or taking out loans for her to do dual credit. And I also was concerned because a lot of times the courses, STEM is not, a lot of the STEM, like biology, chemistry, physics, those degrees are not easy. And so a lot of times you'll take science and math classes, and you need some of those courses like English or humanities to kind of pad your GPA and help buffer you in the event that you don't do as well in your STEM courses. And so I didn't want her to take so many credit hours that then when she became a STEM major, that she would not, that she became a STEM major, that she would, have just STEM, just science and math courses back to back to back. She's gotten credit for English and government and history and humanities and whatnot. And honestly, now I would say there's many ways to get college credit. So there's advanced placement or AP classes, which she took some AP classes, but she did not take the AP exam. There's CLEP, and then there's the dual credit. I am hopeful, and I do want my second oldest to take dual credit courses, because now that Jackie is, looking at her college schedule, I'm like, man, I wish that she had taken some of these, so that, number one, you don't have to do summer school, which she can't do summer school, but I'll explain that in a little bit. But so that she could get that course credit out of the way, so she could focus in on other courses that she needed or wanted to take. So, and dual credit is free in some states to homeschoolers. So definitely take it from someone who was not necessarily a fan of dual credit. I see why dual credit, still on the fence about getting an associate's degree coming out of high school, but I'm not knocking anyone who can do it, So dual credit is a good thing. I wish I had taken advantage, or we had taken advantage of dual credit more. Some of the logistical things like us moving and where we live prevented us from doing so, but I hope that my second oldest will be able to take advantage of some dual credit courses, because I definitely see now that it's necessary, or it's possible, and it definitely is something that you should look into. And in terms of credit hours, that's another thing. If your child knows what he or she wants to major in, I would definitely look into how many credit hours a child needs to graduate and how many credit hours they need to be accepted into the university, because those are two different things. So for example, when we live in Texas, I want to say that a child only needs 22 credit hours to graduate from homeschool in high school. But in order to be really accepted into a university, they need like 26 or so credit hours. So there's a difference between how many they need before you can graduate them versus how many they need to be accepted into a university. And then there are specific requirements on what classes they take, in terms of they need, like, let's say 4 years of science, 4 years of history and government, let's say, and 4 years of science, and they have to take biology and chemistry and physics, and then another science course. So definitely do the research on what courses that they need, and definitely keep track of the courses and the activities and different things that they take, because you would be surprised. There are a lot of extracurricular or different activities outside of the traditional classes that you can count for credit. Gardening, public speaking, just different things. And having taken certain classes that are unique is also helpful when applying for scholarships. It's also helpful when applying to college. So we don't have to be in this straitjacket of just doing a certain set of traditional classes, but also keep an idea of descriptions of the activities and classes that they've taken and the things they've engaged in, such as cake decorating. So that would be what I recommend for that. The other thing, so coming to the senior year and why it was so intense. So number one, I feel like my daughter's senior year was intense for me because trying to dot all the I's and cross all the T's. She was really focused on trying to finish strong with her classes, but then she's having to apply to different universities. So she applied to 4 HBCUs. She was accepted to 4 HBCUs, and she received scholarship money from all of these HBCUs. But it was a waiting game, because it's not like you apply and you immediately get responses, and which is kind of nerve-wracking. It is July, and I would say the end of June is when we heard about the last scholarship that she received, the last scholarship that she applied for. And so they've trickled in or whatnot. And that can be nerve-wracking, just waiting to hear how her college career is going to be financed. But thankfully, she is on full scholarship. She is a national USDA scholar. And so I'm super excited. We are super excited about that opportunity, because she gets to do internships in the summer at a USDA site. And she also will get a job with them when she graduates. And so that when it comes to another reason why this year was intense for us is because we needed to visit the schools, at least the top two, I would say, schools that she wanted to go to. Visiting the schools was an important part of her senior year. I cannot begin to share with you how important it is to be able to go on campus, to visit the departments that your child is interested in majoring in, and speaking with the professors and the dean and the leaders within the department. That was extremely important because a lot of times there will be money, departmental money, and opportunities. There will be departmental money and opportunities available that you won't necessarily find out about, even if it's on their website or even if it's out there. Sometimes speaking to the professors and the deans and different things, they can direct you to scholarships. And that was so helpful because I found out different things about scholarships that we would have never found out had we not visited the campus, had we not spoken with departmental staff on campus. And also, each campus has a different feel. And so every campus is not necessarily like, how should I say this? Okay. So visiting the campus was important because my daughter got to see what kind of campus she felt like would be beneficial for her. So she knew right off the bat that she did not want to be on a large campus where she's like a grain of sand or a speck of dust. Those campuses for her were impersonal. Students she doesn't like large crowds anyway, and she wanted more of a personal touch. So those were good experiences. And she got to see, and I think it was also helpful for my younger children to see what it's like on a college campus. They had their senior days where they were bringing out, other college students to help recruit. So I think all of those are definitely positives for us. And those are experiences that really helped to shape where Jacqueline ended up deciding that she was going to attend school at. So I would definitely encourage you, if your child wants to go to college, to definitely encourage them to visit the college campus. And even if possible, if there are summer programs, they have a college or a university that they know that they want to attend, look online and see if they have summer programs and an opportunity. It is doable. It's also possible for them to get scholarships and full rides. So don't let people discourage you about homeschooling, saying that, oh, well, they can't do this. You can homeschool your child through high school. You can not only homeschool them through high school, but they can get full rides. Another thing, okay. So another thing to be aware of is cost. So we live in Texas. My daughter is not going to school in Texas. However, especially with some of the HBCUs in the surrounding states around Texas, they have reciprocity, or they will consider them as in-state students, or they can receive scholarships that will waive the out-of-state fee cost, which once the out-of-state fee cost is waived, in some instances, many instances, the tuition was actually cheaper or slightly cheaper than some of the universities in our state. So sometimes being out of state does not mean what it used to mean, meaning that it can be cheaper for them to go to school out of state than it can be for them to go to school in state. And there are so many opportunities, especially with the historically Black colleges and universities, that you really have to do your research and really not be married to them attending one specific school, because there are many opportunities that you may overlook or pass up that could be more cost effective or give them better experiences, etc. Don't forget to click like and subscribe to be notified of featured videos. Also, don't forget to check out my website, www.aheartforhomeschool.com.